So listen, man, we know that we've got this show sort of coming together. You get back and Vince and Kevin have sort of put it together. But at that point, who's out recruiting the talent and how do we get buy-in from the individual guys? And do you remember anybody being hesitant? Because that's logical. Like, wait, I'm supposed to be going to Chicago, not Afghanistan.
Yeah, it was a little bit of buy. It was a war zone. The patriotic fervor at the time. And by the way, one other thing I had the idea for, and Vince and Kevin did do, was bring a plane over full of DVDs and video games for the guys, and give out to, because they had pretty good entertainment centers. They've set up real quick for these guys. They had pretty good gyms and pretty good entertainment centers they'd set up for these guys. And that's another thing that Vince and Kevin did, was bring over tons of free stuff to give away to the troops, which was one of my ideas, was to do this show. The other idea was to be able to show as many military as we could on the TV show, not make it about wrestling, make it more about the military, which I thought WWE's production, which I thought was our huge advantage over WCW during the wars, was second to none. And they did an incredible job with it. As far as the buy-in, it was pretty easy. The patriotic fervor was huge at the time. And I was telling guys I was going to Iraq, and we came back from that one tour where I went with Ron and I believe it was Terry and Ivory, and everybody's talking about how great it was. So there wasn't a lot of recruiting that had to go on. I mean, more people wanted to go than could go. Briscoe and Bruce talk all the time about how they wish they would have gone. That was something, people, for the most part, and I heard there were some people, I didn't really hear it at the time, that there were people who were very hesitant to go and people that didn't go. But for the most part, there were a lot more people that wanted to go than they had spots.
Yeah, I think maybe the most famous story that I've heard, and I don't know all the details, but I think there's a narrative out there that Rob Van Dam was hesitant to go. Is that one of the names you heard was hesitant to go?
I don't know if it's hesitant is the right word. I don't want to mischaracterize what Rob did. I don't think Rob went, did he? I was reading some of the notes about the tour, and I have no idea the reason. Could have been family, could have been a million things. To my knowledge, and I've heard there was retribution for guys who didn't go. I don't know anything about that, but I'm not doubting that happened. To my knowledge, there was no, coercion of you really need to go. I think they just said, if you want to go, yes or no. And it was a pretty simple answer. That was what I thought about it. Now, I don't know, Rob, and I think Jonathan Coachman, a couple years later, didn't go on a tour that he thought he got retribution for not going. I'm not disputing what Coach says. I didn't know anything about that.
When you're over there, I mean, it's written about in the Observer. Well, let me just find it here. The WWE crew largely lived as the soldiers did for a few days, sleeping on cots, 14 to a room, and eating at mess halls, although they did stay at a palace that one of Saddam Hussein's used to live at. For obvious reasons, they weren't allowed pyro. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like there. Like, what are the conditions? Because it's not a normal show. It's not like the backstage to a building and we'll go find a gym. And is there a Waffle House still open? Like, that's not the existence. So what is this like over there?
I'll tell you a funny story from the first tour. So the first tour we've been over in Afghanistan, this was like, we were the first civilians to go over there, was my understanding. And we had been out all day and you greeted soldiers all day. And man, I come in, I'm so tired, especially in Afghanistan. It was dirty. I mean, that is a rotten place. And I would say no offense, but you can take offense all you want. Afghanistan sucks. And I come back in and all the beds had been full in one place. So I'm in a room by myself and there's about 20 or 30 bunks, out. I'm the only one in that whole hall, by myself, because I'm the last one to come in from visiting the troops. And my stuff is so dirty that I just take it all off. So literally I take it all off, put it beside my bed. It's just a mess how bad it is. I can tell you some stories that are horrific about the air qualities over there because of what some of the things that happened. Horrible. So I took all my stuff off, hop into bed. It's not 2 hours. I got to go to the bathroom. And so I get up and it's lights out because you're getting mortared. And so you had to have like a red pen light to go around. You didn't have a white light because if we saw a white light, they would shoot mortars at it. So you had a little red pen light, which I guess obviously you can't pick up as well. So I've got this little light, but I can't find it. So I'm going along the wall and I've got to go to the bathroom. Like, you got to be kidding me. Well, there's not a bathroom in the tent. I got to go to the latrine. So I'm just sitting there like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm trying to find the wall. I finally I find the door, but I don't find the light yet. And I got to go. So we're in a war zone. So it doesn't matter where I'm going, really. It's a war zone. I open up the door, and I just step off on the porch. I'm buck naked, and I'm going to the bathroom. I think, oh, thank God, I made it. Right then, 2 spotlights hit me because they saw the sound. So now I'm standing there. It's freaking cold. I'm standing there buck naked going to the bathroom, and the spotlights won't turn off me. So I'm like, because they're ribbing me at this point. Like the soldiers are ribbing me. So I'm standing there, and you can hear them laughing. And I'm just sitting there peeing while these guys are like in the spotlights on me, and they wouldn't turn them off. It was absolutely tremendous.
I love that so much. Listen, that's that camaraderie amongst the guys. That's what a lot of this is all about, whether it's wrestling or I'm sure being deployed. Like that sense of camaraderie, that's what keeps people going, right?
Yo, absolutely. These guys were such good dudes, man. I'm talking about, and women, women served in combat as well. They were such good people and such fun people to visit with. I would go into the mess halls, and the food was good. In fact, it was so hot over there, I thought these guys were going to be all shriveled up. They weren't, because the gyms had air conditioning with a few things that had air conditioning, and the mess hall had air conditioning. So the guys would spend all their free time in the mess hall or the gym because that's where they had air conditioning, because a lot of the places they slept didn't quite have it yet. But I would go and just sit with random soldiers. I said, hey, guys, mind if I join you? And I'd sit with them and just ask them where they're from, ask them all kinds of questions. And they're just dudes. There's dudes, they're young. I mean, really young. I mean, you look at them and, man, some of these guys were 19, 20 years old. And I know that's a grown person. I know it's a grown man or woman. But, when you look at them, go, man, these guys are at war. I mean, they're killing people, and people are trying to kill them. You look at them and go, they're still a teenager. I mean, it was really seeing them over there gave me such a great appreciation for what they did.
I do want to ask you, we said, or we read in the Observer here that, some of the guys stayed at a palace that Saddam Hussein's sons used to live at. Like, did you see any of the Saddam Hussein's wealth or his palaces, or was that part of your experience? What can you tell us?
Absolutely. We didn't stay in the green zones. And again, you had guys that, entertainers that would come over, and God bless them for coming over now. Now, this is not taking a shot at them, but they didn't want to stay in theater. So they'd stay in Kuwait and they'd come up to Iraq. They couldn't fly away to Afghanistan, I don't believe, from Kuwait and be back the same day. But they come to Iraq and perform and then go back. We stayed with the soldiers. So the palace that they talked about, there's 2. There's Uday and Usay's palace, which I think somewhere up north. I can't remember. I do remember staying in it very well. And it was, incredibly ornate palace. Then we stayed in Hussein's palace in Baghdad, and that became part of Central Command. So he had a marble driveway. I mean, imagine that in the rain. You couldn't keep a car on it. It was so slick. He had his huge elevator that it was two stories. And there's a picture out there of me and the Undertaker on Saddam Hussein's throne. But we would sleep. There it is right there. We would sleep in. Everybody took a picture there. So everybody's been to Iraq. Got a picture on that throne. That's his actual throne. Wow. I believe that was on the first floor. That's where he would greet people. And then we stayed in Saddam Hussein's bedroom. And I say I mean like 30 of us. So there was a lot of people there. But the best part was Saddam had this giant bed, like a Nephilim bed, from the old giants from the Bible or something. It was like 12 feet wide by 12 feet long. It was huge. I mean, massive. Obviously, he had custom sheets. Well, Big Show slept in the bed. So he had a giant in a giant's bed. We're expecting like Jack and the Beanstalk or something. This is like a fairy tale. You got a giant in a giant's bed. Big Show's no pictures. I said, all right, I get it. But we got to get one picture. But we'd have bunks all around. We had probably 20 or 30 bunks. His bedroom was massive. I mean, probably 3,000 square feet. I don't know how big it was. I'm bad with all that stuff. It was huge, but enough for like probably 20 or 30 bunks that were in there, except for Big Show, who slept in the giant's bed, which he had a giant in a giant's bed.
Well, I know from your real life travels a few years ago, you did like a tour with golf all over the South. And I'm curious, did you get to play any golf over there?
Oh my God. One of the best days of my life happened in Saddam Hussein's palace. The guy comes and gets me and says, sir, you want to come with us? And so I got Undertaker, and I said, I don't know what's happening, if this could be good. And they had got golf balls, golf clubs from the USO, and they asked us if we want to hit golf balls off Saddam Hussein's porch in Baghdad into his lake. And I was like, are you kidding me? We had country music playing. They had all kinds of fun things. Then somebody got some beer in country, and I think they said they got it from the Russian special ops. I think that's what they said. I'm not sure, but it was obviously not supposed to be there. And in fact, one of the colonels came by and said, "Is that non-alcoholic?" Pointing to our Gatorade bottle, which didn't look like Gatorade. I said, "Sir, do you really want to know that?" And he said, "No, I don't, sir. Have a good time." And so we sat there with the soldiers and hit golf balls. A bunch of us came out, music playing, just had the best afternoon. I'm sitting there in Iraq, in Saddam Hussein's palace, hitting golf balls off his porch into his lake.